No, I think, yeah, like, Isaiah 58, 13 and 14, states it clearly, from not, from finding your own pleasure, like, do not find your own pleasure rather than, rather, like, like I said earlier, that, like, ask God, especially pray, if this is something that you're struggling with, is Sabbath something that you're struggling with? Like, pray and ask God, like, if what I do on the Sabbath is something that pleases Him.
Sorry, so I was.
And God will answer your prayer. God will let you know. And ultimately, like reading His word, and if you have any doubts, like just shoot.
Right there. Yeah. So I remember when Ivor Myers in Southwestern a couple years back, he was saying the Sabbath should be known among the community of Seventh-day Adventists. People should know that Saturdays are the days that are committed to doing good for God's people. And that struck me because a lot of times, like, I just want to sleep, like, I'm content. I remember when, like, at that time, I was still an undergrad, and church starts at like 10, and I'm content, and I eat then I think that's so late, right? Like, oh man, that's still at 10, and I just want to sleep and rest, and not, and we kind of like count down the hours, like, well, church is done. Oh, let's go to the park and enjoy ourselves and have fun and worship and fellowship. But the Sabbath was meant for us to do good. It was meant for us to serve our community. Our community should know that today is Saturday. This is the day that the Seventh-day Adventists love. They do good, and it causes our community to actually look forward to Saturdays as well. And think, man, like, these people are like great people. It's almost like the Jehovah's Witness. I think Saturdays are the days of like going door to door, and it's like those are the days that people like kind of close their blinds. At least in our community, I don't, that's what it is. I think that's the day that the local Jehovah's Witness, like Kingdom Hall, goes out door to door. So people close their blinds. They shut their doors. They park their cars inside the garage so that they can avoid the GWs at all costs. And I think a similar concept should, but for positive light, right? That Seventh-day Adventists we serve, and so that process should really cause us to evaluate how are we keeping in Sabbath? Are we doing good? Is it our own pleasure, or is it the rest, that yoke that Jesus calls upon us to take upon?
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, because one day one guy actually asked me the question at work, and as we were working, and I forgot exactly what the topic was, and then he asked me, "Well, do you go to?" No, he says, "Hey, we're gonna work on Saturday. Are you gonna come?" And I say, "The answer is no, always." And he said, "Wait, why? Like, can't you just come after church?" And I said, "No, it's a day of rest." And he said, "Well, okay, hold on. If it's a day of rest, why do you go to church? If it's a day of rest, why do you turn on the car? Because that's gonna be the car work. Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" And I said to him, "Hold on, take a pause. The day of rest," and he said, "You should be at home sleeping because of the day of rest." And I said, "Hold on. God said to keep the day holy, not to keep the day lazy. Okay? So that's a different thing." And I told him, "What does that mean to keep the Sabbath holy?" Of course, he doesn't know. So I told him, what it means basically is this: anything that you like to do during the week is not something you want to do on that day. It's a day where you do work only for God. You can work for God during the week, but the seventh day is that one day that God says, don't even think about anything else but me. And I took it to some people one time and I told them, what would you do if you and your husband had picked a day for the two of you to have some romance? Would you bring work related stories or the market or things like that happen during the week? Or would you just stay in that day and then think about your husband or your wife and talk to them about how you love them? And that actually kind of dawns like they think, oh, so it's not, I said, exactly, it's not like a day where you do whatever you want to do. It's a day where you do uh, God's work primarily. And of course, going to church is a good thing, but that doesn't mean you're keeping the Sabbath because you go to church. Because you can go to church and not having that communion with God, anyways. So it's a day where you spend time with God alone, not thinking about football or basketball or soccer or Olympics or whatever. It's just that day with you and God to stay in communion just for 24, actually not even 24 hours, more likely 8 hours or 16 hours in the day because we sleep for 8 hours at least. So we don't even spend the whole 24 hour actually with God because we sleep also in the at night. And so that's what I told him about the Sabbath. It's a different day that you do different things that you wouldn't normally do on the week, especially connected to God in a sense. So that was my take on it.
That's true. Thanks for sharing that, Maria. That's true. It's important, what's God's will for us to do on the Sabbath? Like you stated, do God's work. I think that's very important. Do you guys have a volunteer for prayer? If anybody wants to pray, or not, go ahead and pray.
I could pray.
Thanks, Mario.
Ready? Hi. Father in heaven, we are very grateful to have that privilege to open your word again this evening, to study and to learn more about what you want us to do, especially on your Holy Sabbath day. We know that it is not the most popular truth out there, that most of the world would reject it because it doesn't go along with what they want to live by in their worldly view. But we ask that we may be a watchman, we may be a steward and bring the message and talk with them and show them that your Sabbath was a creation and is binding now and throughout all eternity. We also pray that you may help us in this day to keep it holy, uh, and to help us to become more like you in character. And we ask you to bless us and to forgive us our sins and to give us the faith that we need to continue in this life until the time that you come again to redeem your sins. Bless us and forgive us our sins and give us the Holy Spirit. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys for tuning in. And may you guys have a great Sabbath and a good rest of the week. See you guys.
See you.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.
Ay, Pedro!
What's that? I can't see it on Facebook. I don't know. I'll do that next time. I'll type it down on the comments or something.
Wait, there was a question?
Yeah. You just asked a question right now.
Oh no! We should have asked that question.
So he's like, okay, it's like Remnant Lao. How do you go about telling our friends without looking like bigots? That's question number one.
Oh.
Number two is, how do we know if we are not making Sabbath a sometimes we try to claim all our evangelism on Sabbath after not doing that stuff all week. How do we find a healthy medium? That's question number two, which are good questions.
Wait, what
and
was
number three is,
question? What was the second question?
it's like, so he said, but how do we know if we are not making the Sabbath a day of rest? Sometimes we try to cram all our evangelism on Sabbath after not doing that stuff all week. How do we find a healthy medium?
Hey guys, would you
And then
you guys like to go out again?
And then number three, like, will there be a Sabbath in heaven?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
great
Those are
question.
great. Oh, come on, Peter, you should have told us that.
You should tell them, hey, you're getting
Huh?
tell them to join Zoom. Tell them to join Zoom. I bet he has a lot of things to say.
I am right now. I'm on Zoom right now still.
No, but you should tell them we're not live anymore.
No, but
Ah.
I think Neil has a good would like when he asks those questions on Facebook. I think it's great because it kind of allows our viewers on Facebook to kind of be a part of it still too.
Yeah, that's true. So I will keep, because I used to do that, but then nobody like responded. So I was like, I'm gonna stop going on this. But then he's like asking 4 questions. So
Those are great questions. I would have loved to
There's
address them.
there's versions.
Wait, Peter.
And
Peter.
then, yeah, my love, right? 61, where it talks about this Sabbath in heaven.
Which one? Oh, 66?
Is it Isaiah 62?
Yes, 66.
Oh, 66.
Um,
In the 60s.
and and of course, and we could also look at the book of Revelation chapter 11 when John said the veil was open and he saw the ark of the testament, which is the ark of the testimony.
Open Veil TV.
Yes. Yes. Open Veil TV. I know that's the thing, but
Hey, by the way, Mario.
yes.
Open Veil TV. I was checking out to see if it was live, and I couldn't hear anything. I think the audio's off.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, somebody commented that on the
So you use that microphone for the YouTube channel, but it was not even on.
Yeah, I took it off after that when I found out it wasn't working.
Yeah.
It wasn't the microphone actually. I think it was I think my YouTube wasn't working at all, because when I turned it again, it was working. I think it was I didn't make it work. Oh, I felt so bad when that happened. When I was like, no, how come they couldn't hear me? Like no, but hey,
Yeah.
can we?
I'll be on the Facebook thing, and then I'll be like a medium, because since I don't do anything anyway, so I'll just do that.
Hey,
Thank you.
You'll be our
a media guy.
our media guy.
Hey, Edwin. Oh, Peter.
Right?
Peter. Peter. Oh, he already left.
My God,
Anyway,
Mario, what's up?
hey, when is that person okay with,
Wait, what?
is that person okay for one of us to contact him on Facebook and talk about it, or did you know?
I'm answering to one of them right now.
Leo Warner.
Yeah, Lil Warner.
Oh, Leo Warner?
Yeah, it was Leo. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm answering to one of his questions where it says Remnant Lao. How do you? It's Remnant Lao. How do you go about telling your friends without looking like bigots? 2 Timothy verse 3, verse 15 through 17. I don't know what you guys think about that. Where it says all scripture is given inspiration of God and is profitable to reproof and correction with this instruction in righteousness.
I also think that if you establish like friendship with, it depends, case dependent, right? It's dependent on like what the scenario is. Like if it's coworkers that you see every day at work, your coworkers are gonna base your message off of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if your lifestyle is a lifestyle of love and friendship and acceptance, and not a lifestyle that judges them, where they don't feel judged, I believe they'll accept their message. I think they'll accept the message and know that your intentions were not to judge them or to be bigoted, but to that genuinely cares for their salvation and has greater than what this life has to offer. That's my personal.
That's awesome. But why don't we do this next week? Why don't we just do
Q&A position.
just Sabbath? You know, like the title could be "Why do I go to church on Sabbath?" or something so that it's something that it's like eye-catching for the people to see. You know, like it's like, oh yeah, my coworker, like he goes to church on Sabbath. Why would I? Like why does he do that?
Who's doing it next Sabbath?
Yeah, we could do this actually. Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Mario, are you doing it next Sabbath?
Oh, I was doing the next chapter 26, 27, but hey, we can always keep a chapter to do that for the people.
We can skip a chapter. We can do Sabbath.
Yeah.
Why I go to church on Sabbath? There's a glow tract on that. Why I go to church on Sabbath.
We could do that. I can also. I guess Mario, you want to do that for next time?
Hey,
And then
if you wanna,
could answer the questions, like the questions that Leo had on that session or something, so that he doesn't miss out on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Hey, Peter, announce it on the Facebook page.
Edwin Choke.
throughout the whole.
Because I'll make a post and then I share it on the.
Yeah,
So we'll do it next week then.
yeah, we're gonna do that this week for sure, for sure. Man, oh yeah, that was great questions right here.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll be the Facebook person next time.
I thought you were already.
I didn't know he commented. I had my phone on airplane mode.
Yeah, me too. I don't have Facebook on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, mates.
All right, guys.
All right, so for the
Padre,
I'll see you guys later.
Lisa, bye.
Happy Sabbath. Bye bye. I wish for some reason, I don't know, I didn't think I thought it was working, but I guess it wasn't working. I wish I knew that. Next time I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it work without having. It was my first time using this microphone today, and so I guess I didn't set it up properly, and I guess that's what happened, and it couldn't work. But I promise, I hope to keep that promise, that God can help me figure it out for next Sabbath. And so, bye for now. So, man.